You're listening to a Brain Stew Fresh Fright Review.
What's up, creeps? That's right. You're hearing our voices once again. In your eardrums. You all ready for this? Bass drop, motherfucker. Epic Film guys are back. It's been a while. Jeremy, how long's it been?
It's been a while.
I was hoping for bare naked ladies.
It's been 3 weeks since you heard from us. EFG is back in the building. Yesterday, Brady got some wiener.
Did he now?
I don't think so.
Maybe you did and you just don't remember. But yes, ladies and gentlemen, I am Justin.
I'm Jeremy.
I'm B-Ratty.
Fuck yeah, you are. Here, yeah, goddamn. We got the B-Rat in the goddamn building doing his goddamn thing. Mouth all up on the microphone like he's polishing some chrome robot wiener. Come on, brother, let me hear that shit.
Woo!
Yeah, that's
I
what
hope
I
everybody
like
heard
to
that.
hear. It's been a while since we've actually, yes, all three of us have been on the mic together.
Yep.
Last month, we didn't do a single episode where all three of us were together.
No shit.
Brady, you went to
Jesus.
Disney World.
I did.
Jeremy,
Disneyland.
You did what you normally do, which is go all over the fucking planet. And,
I do. Yeah. I was everywhere.
And October is a really busy month for me as well at Alamo Draft House with Terror Tuesday, Dismember the Alamo, all the other shenanigans that I do. I did my home haunt as well. So we're not going to do a full catch-up episode right now, ladies and gentlemen. We are here to review a movie that came out a few weeks ago. One of the biggest financial successes of the entire fucking year, and it seems like everybody's talking about it. So, of course, we're here to talk about it for you and give you a review of Five Nights at Freddy's, which is the recent film from Blumhouse. $20 million budget, and it's grossed already $217 million.
That was a guarantee. That was absolutely a guarantee. This video game is so popular. It's wild, man. We live in a time where I'm a collector, so I'm on eBay and I'm typing in Freddy, right? And this Freddy Fazbear shit comes up instead, even though, there's only one true Freddy. So, we live in a time where more kids know who Freddy Fazbear is than Freddy Krueger, so Blumhouse, if you're listening, that's the next Freddy thing you should make, is the one that ends with Krueger. So, of course this thing was going to make a shit ton of money, man. My kid, who's 7 years old, can name every single animatronic, knows what jump scares is, has begged me for the games. You see the t-shirts, you see the backpacks. This was a guarantee fucking home run. No matter what type of movie they made, this was going to be huge.
I mean, I don't disagree with that. The game originally came out almost 10 years ago. So whenever I talk to anybody that is a fan of the game, someone that's, of age, young adult or whatever, they're like, we've been waiting for this thing forever. So they've been waiting 9 fucking years for this movie to come out. And I shit you not, when I went to see this in theaters opening night in Winchester, Virginia, mind you, the place was packed. The energy was exploding through the room. Whenever there was a moment where there was a line from the game or Easter egg or something, the whole crowd roared. And at the end of the movie, I did not expect this. The credits start to roll, and it basically got a standing ovation. The entire crowd. Kids with stuffed animals, action figures, young adults wearing the T-shirts. You're correct in saying this thing is huge, Jeremy, because the fans came out in droves for this thing.
Even though it's streaming. Yeah, that's exactly what you were about to say.
It's same thing. Yep, streaming, same day. And it had the largest drop of any movie or of any horror movie this year so far. I think it was a 60% drop. But it didn't make a difference because it still made bank and is absolutely a juggernaut at the box office. This, we're going to get into our actual feelings on the movie in a few, but this proves that low-budget horror, if it's doesn't even have to be a huge IP, but in this case, it is a huge IP. Fans have been waiting. They'll come out for your movie if you make it, even if it's 9 years later.
Well, what's crazy is they honestly, they waited a surprisingly long time to make this, so much so that 2 knockoff movies came out based off the success of the video game before this movie even got released.
Yeah, we had Willy's Wonderland, and what was
the
other
Banana
one?
Splits, the Sci-Fi Channel movie
right.
that was like literally the exact same plot pretty much, which by the way, my 7-year-old is like begging me, let me watch the Banana Splits, and I like looked up some things from it, and it's like, even though it came out on Sci-Fi Channel, way more brutal than Five Nights at Freddy's that was released theatrical, so I'm like, yeah, you can't watch this one.
Well, just looking over like development, it's like in 2015 Warner Brothers announced they acquired the film rights, and then they went through a bunch of changes where like Blumhouse got involved in there. Obviously they were announced in 2017, and then in 2017 Jason Blum also said he was working closely with who is it, Scott Cawthon on the film. And then Chris Columbus was attached to it at some point in 2018.
Which would have been crazy.
I was about to say, I want to see that, yeah.
And then something happened between then and 2021, and then we got Emma Tammy, which is who we ended up with. But like that's just a lot of time for this thing to be in development. So it's like they were trying to, and like you said, 2 other movies came out, but
yeah,
I don't know.
For you, Brady, like I said, you are the youngin' of the crew here on the Epic Film Guys. Were you aware of this game at all, or any of your friends fans of it, or anything like that?
Well, you know, like I like to keep my finger on the pulse of culture by just going into Hot Topic every now and then, and it was always full of Five Nights at Freddy's.
Dude, listen, I still buy shit from there. I've been buying shit from there since I was 13
That
years
wasn't
old.
me being facetious. I was just saying.
No. I'm just saying. Listen, I give you shit for wearing Ice Nine Kills shirt, so I was waiting for you to take a jab at me in the ribs over still going to Hot Topic.
No, I mean, like I was aware of it, and I knew people like, I guess more like my brother's age that were really into it.
Right.
I never played it. I never got into it, but I remember like kids his age and younger were just like going crazy over this thing, and I was like, what? I don't even know what the fuck it is. Like it looks kind of gross and disgusting. Like I could be into it, but I just never got around to playing it.
See, the concept to me is awesome. I mean, I'm a massive fan of like retro Chuck E. Cheese, retro Showbiz Pizza. I just love that stuff. So the idea that like when I was a kid, for example, my parents would take me to Chuck E. Cheese. I'd look forward to it for a month if I knew it was going to be ahead of time. But I was terrified of Mr. Munch. So my parents would have to call ahead and ask them, is Mr. Munch going to be there in costume? Because back then it wasn't just Chuck E. Cheese. He'd walk around, you'd get Mr. Munch, you may get one of the other characters, walk around characters. And every time that we would go, I'd be looking around the fucking corners and shit, and like, looking behind my back to see if he was there. And I remember one time we were sitting eating pizza, and shit you not, Mr. Munch walks up behind me to greet the table, me and my family, and I dove underneath the table and went into the fetal position, shrieking. I'm not, dude, I was not 6, okay? I was like 10 or 11. Like, this shit hit hard, man. I was just trying to enjoy my pizza. Mr. Munch came
Just imagine
shit
Justin fucking eating pizza hanging out of his mouth.
I came to play games and eat pizza, and instead I shit my pants.
I mean,
then I begged
probably
my
you
mom.
and 5 other kids.
Toys
there.
R Us was across the street. I begged her, can I go over and get a Batman toy? But my point is, like, the concept. I mean, these things are creepy, especially the animatronics. So just thinking of that, Uncanny Valley, that imagery of, like, what would happen if at night, when everyone was outside of the building and it was closed, like, if these things came alive and started fucking shit up. So
yeah.
It's a great concept. I love the concept. Brady.
Yeah.
For those uninitiated, if there's anyone listening that doesn't know what this thing is, fill them in on what the movie's all about.
Yeah, Five Nights at Freddy's. So, struggling with his own guilt over the past and uncertainty about the future, a down-on-his-luck security guard, Mike, takes a last-ditch effort job working overnight security at a once popular but now abandoned entertainment restaurant, Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria. And with each passing shift, things become stranger and stranger until Mike realizes that simply staying awake through the night won't be enough to survive.
There it is.
Yep.
That's not IMDb for you, motherfuckers. That's all me.
Damn.
For real. Look at the
For
work you're
real.
putting in on Five Nights at Freddy's. See, ladies and
Yeah,
gentlemen,
I was
that's why
gone.
you're listening.
I was gone from the show for almost a month because I had to write that synopsis and get it
Did a
down
great job.
perfect.
It took you that long? Well,
I
man,
went out into the woods.
It's good.
I did some soul searching. I went fishing with my bare hands, shirtless, hoochie daddy shorts on.
Sounds sexy.
It was pretty sexy. I mean,
Dude. Oh man, this thing it's such a like simple but brilliant concept for a setup for a video game and a movie, man.
Yeah.
Dude, I forgot to mention that even the game is being imitated like heavily. Like there's another game called Poppy Playtime that my kid's super into, which legitimately is the exact same plot, but instead of it being like a Chuck E. Cheese type restaurant, it's an abandoned toy factory. And it's like literally the exact same thing, and these toys come to life. So, I mean, absolutely brilliant setup. How we feel about it once we get into the thick of it is a different situation.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm pretty positive I can speak for all of us in saying that none of us really had any expectations for this thing.
I had none. I just wanted to be
yeah.
entertained because I had no investment in it. I never played the game. I don't give a shit. Like, I'm looking at it as, okay, this is a PG-13 horror film with really cool fucking Jim Henson
Amazing
animatronic costumes, man. Like, these things looked awesome and terrifying, and when they would squint and do the evil eyes, you could feel that.
yeah.
I can totally understand why some of the fans and so many other people were entertained by this, but I guess I'll just jump out with my
Do
initial
it.
reaction here.
Come on.
Go for it.
I really enjoyed the opening. I thought the opening with the first security guard, because ladies and gentlemen, we're going to do full spoilers. Everyone in the world has already seen this thing. If you haven't, watch the movie first. Come back, listen later.
Spoiler-filled episode.
Yes.
Wow, we actually said it before we spoiled something.
Listen, we always do. Where have you been?
No, we don't. One of us spoils
I was
something.
about to say,
and goes back to this.
I'd
All right,
like
ladies
to
and gentlemen.
correct that and say we don't always
No
do that. We
spoilers,
fuck up
please.
quite a bit.
Okay. All right. Well,
I was just saying, good job.
I have ruined many things for people. So
Yeah.
there you go.
the movie is being looked at as a gateway horror movie for a younger audience, which I totally understand. I totally respect. Except for the fact that it lacks anything that makes a successful gateway horror movie. It lacks actual suspense, any tension, any real scares. The fact is, this movie's just not scary at all. I didn't jump one single time. I mean, if you're going to do a PG-13 horror movie, jump scares are going to be your number one thing you're going to get the
Especially
audience every single time.
the fact that this thing is based off of a worldwide famous video game that all of this is predicated on jump scares. Literally in the
Exactly.
game, it's called jump scares.
Yeah.
Where the
Yeah.
fuck was that?
There were no jump scares to be had here, and I know, I read some interviews, regarding the rating, and Emma Tammy, the director, saying that she wanted to follow through with suggestion, shadows, atmosphere, rather than, have blood and gore. Of course, you can't do blood and gore, or not that much, because your movie's rating, so I totally respect that. And we have seen in recent, horror films that were PG-13, successful films that were scary, filled with tension, that are more effective. This movie just fell totally flat on its fucking face for me. I didn't feel a single thing in regards to the horror aspect. I don't think there was anything really scary. The imagery, yes. The animatronics, I love the designs, like Jeremy said. The Jim Henson Company worked on this, and beautiful work from them on this. It was great to see physical props, so married with some CGI, perfectly done, especially with a budget of $20 million. It looked fantastic visually. Really enjoyed that. The other part for me that I had a hard time with, I like Josh Hutcherson as an actor. The last time we saw him was in the Hunger Games movies. I thought he was very good in those. He plays Mike Schmidt, the security guard who goes through this trauma, of course, which we know we have to
Trauma.
have. The trauma has to be there. It's a Blumhouse horror movie, and I just felt like he was giving the same deer in headlights look the entire movie, where he was like, I don't know how I'm supposed to emote here, so I'm going to give the same, like, I'm staring at a blank wall here. Like, I'll give the guy credit. he did what he could with the role here, and dude does not age at all. Jesus Christ,
No.
looks great. No matter how bad they tried to make him look, like this guy's poor. He wears cheap clothes. It's like, nah, dude.
I wish I looked like that when I was poor.
But just to wrap up my initial thoughts and pass it over to you, Jeremy. I just overall the movie for me, it just lacked so much. And goddamn, Matthew Lillard. We're gonna get to that, but it made me so sad,
dude. So for me, you have a movie like A Quiet Place that's, I believe, isn't that movie PG-13? I'm like fairly certain. Somebody look that shit up for me real quick. I'm pretty sure A Quiet Place is PG-13, and there are moments that are...
It is PG-13,
boom,
that's right.
Boom.
That's right.
Hell yeah. So, I look at movies... Yeah, right? That was a good pull, because I've just literally pulled it out of my ass.
One of the top horror movies of the past 5 years, but that's okay.
And one of my favorites,
yeah,
too.
dude, look
sorry,
at...
But you pulled it out.
Look at what they could do with PG-13 and how terrifying and suspenseful they could make that. And then you get to Five Nights at Freddy's, and I'm going to go ahead and say this. I loved that this movie did have layers, right? It wasn't just like, okay, here's generic characters being put in this situation that we're already familiar with thanks to the game. Like it could have been like Blumhouse has done in the past. This one, they gave a great backstory on Mike, played by Josh Hutcherson, that he has this tormented past that his brother got abducted right in front of him, and they never found the guy that abducted his brother, and they never found his brother, and it's tormented him and it's haunted him his entire life. His parents have both passed on. He's now in charge of raising his baby sister, and like, dude, I feel like he gave a great performance, and honestly, some of the imagery of his brother being abducted was scarier than anything else in this fucking movie.
I can't disagree with that. That the abduction stuff that he keeps going through his head every single night, that recurring dream constantly, that concept alone is terrifying. And that imagery was definitely the scariest stuff in the movie.
The way that they shot those dream sequences of him in the woods and stuff like that, like super, super scary, creepy stuff. Some of my biggest beef with this movie is that it's called Five Nights at Freddy's, and everybody's there for the animatronics, and they are the most underused aspects of this entire
Thank you for saying it.
Like, dude, you have these beautiful, as we stated, Jim Henson costumes for these animatronics, and they're so underused, man. And, like, I think, I'm not going to say that this movie is without its creepy factors, even outside the abduction stuff, but I mean, some of the shots of the animatronics looking up at the camera, which is like straight up out of the game, look super, super creepy. That I'm like, oh fuck, like that's really scary, for what it is. But the whole movie, sometimes, okay, in Jaws, we get very little of the shark until towards the end of the finale. So it makes it scarier, and it makes you want the shark more. And then when you finally get it, you're like, fuck, that was so great. I don't know if that was their intention with this. If it was, it didn't work. It just made me go, where was the animatronics in this movie? And, again, spoiler-filled episode, you give us these, finally, when we start getting the animatronics, they're nice. They're friendly. They're building forts. They're laying on the floor together. You fucking like them. To where I'm like,
they're playing happy music in the background. I forgot what fucking what song they were playing there, what needle drop they did, but I was like, yep, here we go.
Yeah, to where it's like, okay, like now you like them, like okay, so like now we're finally getting them, and they're no longer a threat. And unfortunately, from that point on in the movie, like we never really fully got the full effect of the scariness from these characters. And then I guess we can save the finale for when we get there. But at the end of this movie, I went, you know what? I get it. I understand why they made the movie that they did. This is show business. and clearly they made some good business decisions because it's made absolute bank for them. So what they did is working and the financial avenue. But as far as, like, this movie was never made for us, right? Like, Justin, you and I are damn near 40. So
I turned 40 in, like, less than 3 weeks.
yeah.
21 days actually from today.
Yeah, I mean, like,
Yep,
dude,
boom.
this movie was 110% not made for us at all. We're not the demographic, which I understand. I can still look at this objectively and go, you know, I was entertained. I did not hate this movie. I'm going to say that. I did not hate this movie. I quite enjoyed tons of it, man. Josh Hutcherson, I feel like if they would have cast somebody else not on his caliber, I don't know how much I would have liked this movie. But his performance was awesome. Dude, that scene of him in the mall where, like, he thought that kid was getting abducted and he went and he beat the shit out of that guy. Bro, that was awesome. That was awesome.
One of my favorite scenes in the movie, just because we got to see a mall and there were people in it.
Yeah.
And it wasn't dead.
It was not a dead mall, dude. And he beat the shit out of that guy. And that was fucking awesome. So I liked that they gave us this really interesting, damaged character that's responsible for this tiny human and, you know, the evil aunt that wants to get get Abby for the sole financial gain from it, and Mike's trying to protect Abby, and he's trying to do the best that he can, but he's also kind of a fuck up because how damaged he is. All of that stuff really worked for me. I liked the police officer. The character's name was Vanessa, played by Elizabeth Lale. I thought she was fantastic. You know, obviously she was her character's thrust into the story for, you know, from the very beginning that there's, like, ulterior motives here. Like, why is she showing up? But I feel like she was fine. All of that was fine. So there's, like, just so much in this movie that I really did enjoy, that even though I was like, damn, I'm disappointed that we didn't get more, like, scary factor. We didn't get any suspense. We didn't get any actual jump scares. The movie, there was never a point where I truly felt threatened for any characters that we care about. The only characters that really got, you know, fucked up in this movie were characters that were bad guys, that you were like, I don't care if they get killed, right?
Yeah, and to your point, that's the problem. There never felt like there was any real, like, danger to any of these people, because you're like, oh, they're safe. They're, no matter what, you already, like, these guys that come in, the scene where they're trying to fuck shit up for him and break into the building and make it look like he was a bad security guard. Okay, of course these guys are going to die. I mean, the first kill is, of course, the past night guard who's stuffed in an animatronic suit. So I guess he's a good guy, technically.
Right.
But other
we
than
don't
that,
know.
like,
We don't know. Yeah.
I mean, well, he could have been jacking off there every night, but you know what? What else are you going to do in that fucking room? There's nothing to do.
Well,
he's got those TVs and shit, but...
It's 2:53. Guess it's time to jack off again.
You, my friend, your initial thoughts on the movie?
Yeah, I'm glad you two found some stuff you liked about it, because that's going to make up for how much I really hated this fucking movie. Like, there was nothing about this movie that I found good. And I thought maybe it was because I just didn't understand the game. And, like, I'm not a fan of the game, and this movie is clearly made for fans of the game exclusively. Like, sure, you can say it's a gateway to horror. It's trying to merge the fans of the game into, you know, butts and seats to get tickets in the theater, but, like, nothing about it. It was almost like a slog to get through. Like, I had to stop it multiple times and walk away and just be like, this is the most mind-numbing, no plot, boring thing I've ever seen that wants to call itself a horror movie. And, like, I'm glad it made money. I can understand how it did with its rating, its demographic, and the marketing, but it was just awful. And I like Josh Hutcherson. You know, I really loved him in Future Man, that series that came out a couple years ago.
Awesome.
I totally
Dude,
forgot all
it's
about
so
that.
fucking
That
good.
show
And
was
so,
awesome.
like, I was like, well, maybe I'll be into it because of him, but, like, I really think everybody loves him in it just for nostalgia, because I don't think anybody was that strong in this movie. Like there were parts where maybe it was the dialogue, maybe it's not all his fault, but his delivery too, like Justin, like you were saying, he doesn't know what to do with his face. Like I felt like he didn't know what to do with anything. And then one second, the animatronics, they looked like you guys said, like they were like nice. So I'm supposed to be fearful of this thing that also looks like I can just like cuddle with it and have fun with it. Like it, like at least when you go back to Chuck E. Cheese, like that rat looks fucking ferocious sometimes. Like that looks like a drunk uncle who you like know has gone to prison before at a party that like nobody's talking to in the corner because he's like pounding Miller Lights. Yeah, and you just kind of like don't go over there. That was nothing like this. And then even the parts where the bad guys are getting fucked up, like none of that was believable. I was like laughing, but only because of how bad it was. Yep. Like I never felt fearful in any situation. For sure. And like if you're going to call yourself a horror movie, like you need to make me feel scared even a little bit. So I really hated this movie.
Just the tiniest sense of horror in your horror movie.
I don't think it's that much to ask for, but who am I?
You know, I have to say, in terms of performances, my favorite of the movie is actually Piper Rubio, who plays Abby. She's fantastic.
Yep. God, I hate her.
Oh man, I thought she was wonderful.
I understand.
What was going on with her bangs? First of all,
well, listen, that was something I was going to bring up because the movie takes place in modern day, but you don't really see that many cell phones, and they have like a house phone. And they're dressed kind of like 90s. I liked that it was set in this weird movies
alternate
are doing this
universe,
more often
yeah.
now. Alternate timeline where it's like it's not the 80s or the 90s.
The mall is full. Yeah.
The mall is full. Though the local fucking Pizza Time Theater is, like this ancient like thing that they're like it's been closed for decades, and they mentioned that it was closed after the 80s and all that stuff. And there is lore. There's history to it that I appreciated that. Mm-hmm. But what I was going to say is, like, Abby has this, like, super modern, like, hipsterish haircut. And I'm like, they're poor. How's this girl getting her haircut so nice? She's always so well-dressed. And I'm like, he looks like shit. He's wearing, like, hand-me-down flannels and old sneakers and stuff. But, again, that's nitpicking. That's totally the definition of nitpicking.
I don't know. I mean, she wasn't, like, the worst child character we've seen. Like, I know Justin, like, shit all over that girl from the Boogeyman. But...
that kid was terrible.
I don't know, man. Like nobody.
I hate to call out kid actors. I really do.
You love it.
But
off air, you talk about you're like fuck little kid actors.
As soon as we get done,
fuck kids who want to grow up and be actors and want to act when they're kids and shit like that. Justin just goes on a tirade and he's like, man, fuck all of them.
Listen, we've seen some of the best kid actors of all time. You want to see a movie with good kid actors? Good horror movie, a classic horror movie, watch the fucking Monster Squad. Every kid in that movie is amazing. Yep. There you go. Boom.
So
what are they doing now?
Damn.
Jesus. The key thing is we know the history of this.
I'm sorry.
8 out of 10 child actors don't ever succeed as adult actors.
Especially when we talk about them on this show.
There's your statistic.
One thing that drives me nuts about this movie, and this is kind of jumping ahead a little bit, which I don't think anybody cares if I do that.
Feel free.
Listen, once you take your bad guy and you make them good, you can't make them bad again, right? It's Terminator, right? Arnold Schwarzenegger was the bad guy in part 1. You made him the good guy in part 2. Guess what? In every movie after 2, he was the good guy because the audience was like, oh, fuck, we like this guy. He's a good guy now, right? Puppet Master. They were evil in 1 through 3. In 4, it was like the puppets turned good to fight other evil puppets, and they became good guys. And like, dude, they've primarily stayed good guys in every single film since then. So it's like, once you do that, I feel like it's hard to then reconvince the audience that the characters are scary. And it's Freddy Krueger as well. He was terrifying in 1 and 2 specifically, and then 3... okay, he's still scary, but now he's kind of funny, and then they kept ramping up the funny factor, and then it got to the point where, okay, he's not scary anymore. He can't be scary anymore until they came out with Wes Craven's New Nightmare, which was a genius way to make him scary again. So my thing is, in your first movie, the first one, you're going to have the, like, towards the, the third act, you're going to turn them good to where, like, now they're good. And then even through the finale, it's like, okay, you know that they're gonna turn, and be good guys for the rest of this movie. So my thing is, this movie's made so much money. What do you do now? Like, you've made them good. You've made the audience sympathetic for these characters. How do you make them bad again in the next movie? That's what I don't understand.
I mean, you could do something like it's just an alternate timeline in the second movie. So there's like a timeline where it's a different security guard and different set of circumstances. I don't know. There's like different, like the whole thing of them mentioning like a kid gets killed, at the beginning, and that's why the pizzeria had to shut down. That comes from a specific chapter of the game. So you could just make a movie like that. But I get what you're saying. Like, once you've seen it as a crowd and like an audience and being like, okay, like, why do I have to be scared of these things? It is hard to reel that back in and be like, no, the next one, like, this is the version they're scary, and then this is the version where they're like Care Bears, and then this is the version where like everybody loves them. So
yeah, they I think
they shot themselves in the foot, essentially.
They did, and to your guys' point, I think what they were really trying to do is they know that these fans love these characters so much, and they wanted those moments for them to cheer for them. Because let's face it, that's why they're playing the games. That's
Can
why
I
they're
ask another
buying
question?
these action figures.
Why do they like these characters? These characters are. I felt like.
Well, I mean,
again, maybe because I haven't played the game, but I'm like, I just don't.
I can't speak for
I don't
fans
see the appeal.
I've never played the game. I know I was talking to my daughter's boyfriend, he said he grew up with this shit and he loves it and stuff. And he went and saw the movie this last weekend. He said he loved the movie as well. Something that connected with young people when the game came out. I think, one thing is that the designs are wonderfully done. I love the designs. They really stand out. The colors, the designs of the characters they're very memorable. That's the one thing that I took away from the movie is like, okay, I'm going to remember what these characters look like, if anything. Not their names or anything, but just the imagery. It sticks with
And
me.
when shot correctly, they can be menacing, dude. Again, in those couple shots where it's like from the security cam footage of them like slowly looking up at the camera, creepy shit, man.
I guess
it had a
I don't
couple
know.
moments.
It didn't hit me. I guess like it hit you guys. Like I wanted it to, but watching that scene specifically, like when the thugs are in there trying to break everything, and then the guy's looking at the camera and they just like look up, I just laughed because I was like, that's not scary at all.
Yeah, but again, right, this movie, I'm not excusing it, right? You feel how you feel about it. That's fine. But this movie was not made for us, man. We're not the demographic for this movie. I mean, I get that you can't really do that for every movie. You either like a movie or you don't. But I'm like,
well,
just like what Justin
Jeremy
said, your theater was fucking cheering at the end because that was the demographic.
That's the problem, though. And I think, to Brady's point, this is a movie made for fans. So this movie is the definition of a fan service movie, and you can't get away with that continuously. And I think that's why, other critics, this movie got fucking destroyed. And there's a good reason for that. They don't care, though, because the whole purpose for them is to make money.
Sure.
Like you said, show business. But there was a way for them to please fans and everybody else if they just took their time, made the movie actually frightening, gave it some real suspense, and it could have been a little bit meaner.
Dude.
And by meaner, it's like, most of the kills are off screen, which is fine. We've seen tons of fucking horror movies where they do that. But there needed to be something else for us to hold on to. And, Brady, I don't know if maybe they did that, if the movie still wouldn't have worked for you. But I know it would have worked for me on a surface level, at least. I walked out, unlike Jeremy, only mildly entertained and more frustrated than anything else because I could see that the concept was there. There was something there that could have been really good had maybe, and just to say, had the right director been attached to the project. And Chris Columbus,
that would have been lights out, dude.
I agree.
That would have been
love to
lights
see
out
that.
for sure.
But it's like, and what you're talking about, like it could have been meaner. Like there's a scene in there where somebody gets bit in half.
Yeah.
So like they could have been meaner with this movie. I don't want to sit here and excuse it being like, oh well, it's a PG-13 because like they did try to get violent with it. I just feel like it was misplaced.
Yeah.
It's all
They
about
didn't
how you do it, too.
Yeah, they didn't execute correctly, and that's why I feel that way. And like you said, it's a fan service movie, and I feel like sure, that gets your money, but like, what's it really gonna do?
I don't necessarily agree that it was a fan service movie, because, I mean, I've never played the game in my life, and I'm not saying that I loved this movie. I did not love this movie, but I can't really speak to it being a fan service movie because I guess I don't know enough about this property to be like, oh, like right here. But if anything, I would say that they did a lot less than what they could have done if this was truly a fan service movie to the video game. Because again, going back to those jump scares from the game, that didn't exist in this movie. If anything, like, I feel like we could have used more jump scares. I don't know, like.
Here's also something you could have done. And aside from the one girl, and I forget her name, I'm sorry, was it Max getting bit in half? The babysitter? Other than that, everything was
Maxine gets bit in half, yeah.
Everything was a cutaway.
Yeah.
So it's like, and I get it's PG-13, but even the there's the scene they showed the aftermath, and the guy's face is all mangled up. And it's like, sure, you can't show that one all the way, but maybe the guy getting killed in the closet you could have shown. Maybe, the guy getting actually killed by the scatting fox could have said something, like, or shown something. I don't know. Like, there are ways around the PG-13 rating to make it more meaningful,
sure.
a little more visceral.
Again,
and make
A Quiet
you
Place.
invested.
A Quiet Place. Like, they could have absolutely done more, and I agree with you guys 110%. I'm not necessarily defending this movie. I understand certain things of why they did what they did. They could have absolutely made a darker, scarier movie. I will tell you that watching this with my 7-year-old, she still had to stop watching it. Like, even though she's played the game and different things, yeah, she made it all the way until right at the very end, and thankfully, and this is why we chose to watch it at home, because initially I was going to take her to theaters to see it. Dude, she's got a Five Nights at Freddy's backpack, like, she's got a hat, she's got the toys, like, she's got the game on her tablet, she's super into it, so I was like, man, I'll take her to see it, and then I was like, you know what, let me just stream it at home in case it gets to be too much for her. And she made it all the way until almost the very end, and she was like, I can't watch anymore. And I was like, I get it. So
I wonder if it's because it's like, I don't know, man. Like, I mean, it's your daughter, so like, I mean, we've both known you since, she was little, and like watching Gremlins at like 3 years old.
Yeah.
So do you think maybe this is because it's something she's grown up with and like has like seen in a different medium, and now she's seeing it?
Yeah.
Whereas like Nightmare on Elm Street, you got Freddy in your fucking basement.
Oh yeah. I don't know, man. She watched Willy's Wonderland, which is a worse rating than this one. Willy's Wonderland is an R, and I fast forward, through some of the inappropriate stuff or whatever, but like she saw the meat and the potatoes of the movie, and she was unfazed by it. But towards the end of it, especially once you throw in the real bad guy in the movie, which, are you guys cool with just jumping into
also,
that?
let's just get to that.
I was going to say, let's get right to it, because for horror fans, the idea that Matthew Lillard is coming back for a new horror movie is like music to our fucking ears. I was mildly excited about it just to see him back in a movie, and I had no idea where the story was going, but I had like a feeling there was like a little nod in our first scene with him. He plays dual characters. He plays Steve Raglan, who's like this, I don't even know, a recruiter.
Job placement guy.
Yeah, placement guy.
Career guidance counselor or something
and
like
then
that.
I was like, I kept thinking to myself, there's no way they cast Matthew Lillard for this movie and they're just going to have him play that one role for like less than 5 minutes of screen time. And I shit you not, for the first time in a long time, my wife Danielle turns to me and she's like, he's going to be the bad guy in the movie.
He's the killer again.
Talking about the killer. And I was like, oh, shit. And then, of course, we see the reveal at the end. He's William Afton. He's the guy that has been being the puppet master of this whole thing. And, Vanessa's his daughter. Yeah. And that's why she's been watching over this place the whole time. And I was like, oh, yeah, that all makes total sense to me. But in this reveal, is you tell me, is you being the big Scream fan on the show, Brady, is Lillard just trying to channel Stu Macher here?
Yeah,
I was a little
so
bit of it.
Pissed off
I was
about
so
it.
Frustrated. I was like, man, he's not exploding all the way there, but I think it's the closest thing, Jeremy, sorry to burst your bubble, that we'll ever see to him returning to that Stu Macher character again.
Yeah, I was very, very upset with that. I was like, you got to be shitting me. Like,
did you cry? Did you cry at home when you saw it? Is that why you
did you weep?
Maybe. That's crying.
How about the fact that he did the ghost face blade wipe with his hand? Did you guys catch that?
Yeah,
Of course, yeah.
that was pretty. I kind of liked that.
Dude,
Yeah,
when that was
a nice
moment
little
when
homage.
I didn't expect all, the Five Nights fans to get that. As soon as I saw it, I started to like clap and shit, and people were cheering. I was like, okay.
They don't deserve
right.
to get it.
You know what though?
You don't
I
deserve
liked that.
this.
I was like, all right, you gave me something, because it's like, Jason Blum's not stupid here. He knows his shit. He's like, we should probably, I guarantee someone said put that in there.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I got to say this much, aside from, I thought Lillard was fine. Lillard's a very good actor. I've loved everything he's done that I've seen over the last couple of years. Good Girls, a show that my wife loves. He was fantastic in that show versus Christina Hendricks, who played his wife. Unfortunately got canceled. And he.
Oh my God! I really thought you were gonna say she got cancer, and I was like, oh shit.
No, the show got canceled.
Yeah.
Oh hell no, Christina
Like, my
Hendricks,
heart
she's
just
a
dropped.
goddess,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
But as we all three of us know from going to conventions, Brady, you and I met him last year. He's like a staple at every convention. Jeremy, you know this. He's been doing it for a long time. His line always wraps around the block, which has been his main source of income. He has kids. He has kids in college. I get it. If that's what you have to do. But it was good to see him in a fucking movie. And it felt good to see him in a movie that became a massive financial success. He can't talk about the movie at all. He can't tweet about the movie because, the strike and everything, which is very unfortunate. He loves talking about his movies and his projects and stuff. So that part felt good to me. It just felt like a little, just not authentic.
A little
just
too
felt
much.
Like not right.
I'll say one thing is I really enjoyed, like, you kind of knew that there was some nefarious shit going on with his character.
Of course.
It's pretty easy to spot that, okay, like, this is going to end up, like, being something. But in the finale, when it's revealed, it's like, it's a Scooby-Doo moment where the mask comes off, which is funny because he played Shaggy in these two movies, and he's been voicing Shaggy for all these years. So this is literally a Scooby-Doo moment. Like, the mask comes off, and he's like, it's me, Mr. McDougal. I don't fucking know, So, but I loved that when he started getting, like, killed while wearing the suit, and the suit was taking him over. I loved that he said, I'll come back. I always come back. And it kind of had, like, a little bit of a Chucky vibe to it. And, like, and then when he puts the mask back on and the eyes light up, and then the final shot with him in the movie, I'm like, if they're going to do a situation in the sequel where they're like, okay, well, how do you make the animatronics evil again? It could be that, like, now, like, he's this possessed animatronic and he hacks into the other animatronics and, like, makes them evil again. You know what I mean? There's that little fix right there that you can do, but honestly, like, I found the finale with his character to be creepy, where I'm like, yeah, that's super gnarly looking. So I enjoyed that. Not the greatest thing in the world, but I still enjoyed tons of this movie.
Thematically also, this whole connection of him being the killer who actually murdered his brother Garrett and the 5 other children by hiding their bodies in these animatronics and basically, like, keeping their souls under control is really creepy shit. In terms of, like, a concept, it wasn't portrayed as seriously scary as it could have been, but I really did like that idea. I'm like, man, there's fucking kids' souls in these things, That's why they are a little bit.
Did they explain how he
stuff.
did that, or no? Was it just, like, implied?
If they did, it went over my
like
head.
Some
And if
Charles
anything
Lee
in this
Ray
movie
voodoo
went over
shit.
my head.
Yeah.
Take away
probably
my
asleep.
critic license right now.
Yeah.
There's some stuff right like that are just little plot holes here and there, of course, which are to be expected in a movie like this. But at the end, everyone's happy, everything's good, except for, like, dude, this Aunt Jane gets killed off screen by Golden Freddy, and dude, at the end of the movie, they're sitting there just, like, eating soup or some shit.
She was a bitch anyways.
Yeah, she smelled like cigarettes. She tastes like cigarettes.
Never mentioned at all. Like, someone got murdered in your house, cops didn't come. It's not mentioned whatsoever. It's just
well,
an
I think
afterthought.
that just
thought
speaks
was
to the
funny.
broader theme.
They just
community.
drag her body to Freddy's, and they're like, she showed up here and got fucked up. I don't know what to tell you.
Well, we found her in the dumpster out back. I don't know.
So are they, accomplices to murder?
Complicit? They could be.
Murder. So yeah,
well,
that was Five Nights at Freddy's, man. We all endured it. We all watched it, and we all had varied opinions on it. How about that?
Yeah, very
Fuck.
true. It's been a while since we've had a film like that. A little divisive in the EFG crew, so we might as well go around the horn here with a little trash it or treasure it. And Brady, we're going to start with you. I think I know where you're
Gee,
going
I
with
wonder
this,
what
but
I'm
we
gonna
might
say.
as well give it a try.
Not to, keep repeating the same themes here, but
Repeat
it's
it.
just repeat it.
Say it, sister. Say it.
Say it.
It's just a vapid, uninteresting, flat, uninspiring movie labeled as horror to get people into theaters and make a bunch of money, which it did. So in that term, it's a success. But it offers nothing in the way of scares, nothing in the way of entertaining plot, nothing in the way of characters. Essentially, it offers nothing. And that's what I was left with and wondered, why the fuck did I just sit through almost 2 hours of this movie? Like, if it hadn't been for this show, and I had nowhere to put this out there, I would have just been one of those guys on film Twitter who's just complaining about my life. It's just I don't know. I feel like it had potential, and I say that a lot on episodes, but it sucks that you could see the potential in the movie and it just never lives up to it. And
I got you.
now I do feel like I feel like they shot themselves in the foot, and they're going to keep making money off of this, so they won't see it. But in terms of creative storyline and entertaining storyline, I don't see a future for this if it becomes a franchise.
Oh, it's definitely
So
becoming a franchise.
For that reason, I have to trash it.
And Jeremy.
I'm going to treasure it. I am. I am because
Well, this has been fun. I hope you guys enjoy it.
you're like, this is Be Ready's
Don't
last
be
episode.
so bitter, Brady.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
I'm going to treasure it because I enjoyed this movie for what it was and not what it could have been. Did I love it? Absolutely not. But it'll be a movie that I revisit, and honestly, I feel like this could be a Ouija Origins, Ouija 2 Origins of Evil situation where, we've already got the setup film where now the second one can really, really just do its thing and tell a scary story that could be very effective. I feel like we could get that next, and I didn't hate this movie. I loved so much about this movie that I'm like, you know what? I feel like I liked more things than I disliked things in this movie. So it's hard for me to trash it because I'll revisit this, man. I had a good time with it for what it was, and I look forward to seeing what they do with the sequel, and hopefully the sequel is the movie that we wanted out of this one. But even saying that, I still enjoyed this movie for what it was, and it was entertaining. It was a good popcorn flick. Hate me. I don't give a shit. I enjoyed it.
I could never hate you.
Well, Dan, there's something to be said about a first installment in a franchise, and sometimes we get those that aren't nearly up to the level they could possibly be, and in the sequel, they improve upon it, and they become, a franchise of success from there on out. So,
Friday the 13th.
We know. I mean, that depending on how you feel about those movies, but yeah, I agree with you with the first one.
Absolutely,
But,
yeah. That's a great comparison, actually.
For me, as a gateway horror movie, I understand people calling it that, but when there's so much else out there that you could consider such that is way better, that is terrifying for kids, and still has the fan pleasing stuff where therein, I just found this to be, like Brady said, a slog. It was hard for me to get through, and I was the only one to see it in a theater, and I understood that energy that was surrounding the entire room. It was just, it was contagious.
Yeah.
But still, even so, I found the film middling, and I just did not walk out feeling satisfied from it. So for me,
Do it.
it's a trash it.
Fuck you, Jeremy.
But I'm still open to the sequels, and as we do on this show, sometimes we take one for the team, for our listeners. You never know if it's going to be good or bad, so I go into everything with the most open mind possible, and this one just wasn't for me, but I will watch the sequels. Who knows? Like I just said a few minutes ago, and Jeremy said perfectly, you never know, the sequels could be fucking masterpieces. Just depends on who's making them.
know.
If it's
Yeah.
Blumhouse, 50-50.
Probably not. Yeah.
But there it is, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for tuning into this long-delayed episode review of the Epic Film Guys podcast. We love you so much. Sorry for being slightly absent.
It was a busy October, man.
Busy-ass fucking month. But I have to say, we love all of our old listeners and new listeners alike because both of our episodes released last month. Our Exorcist Believer spoiler-free episode and our Halloween 4 retrospective were very large episodes for us. A lot of downloads. You guys, gave a lot of positive notes and words on both of those episodes. So thanks so much for tuning in, and we hope that we were part of your soundtrack for spooky season. If you like what you're hearing, if you love what you're hearing, if once again, maybe this week you're not mad at Brady because he wears Iceland Kill shirts. Maybe you're mad at him because he just trashed this movie, and you're like, I took my fucking kid to that movie, and he loved it and has the action figures and shit, and he told me that it's going to be his favorite movie of all time. Well,
fuck
leave us
that
a
kid.
review. Oh, there's another reason. Leave us a review. Let us know what you think on iTunes, and Spotify is even easier. Just leave some stars. It's not that hard, people. And, of course, we're on every social media platform at Epic Film Guys. I don't even need to list them all. They're everywhere. But we got a lot of shit lined up this month. It's a Wonderful Knife, which I've already had a chance to see. We got fucking Eli Roth's Thanksgiving. Can't fucking wait. But I'm Justin.
I'm Jeremy.
I'm B-Ratty.
And as always, we like to ask you to keep it creepy.